Am Carrie Little, and today I have my identical twin sister,
Dr. Mina Blazy.
and we are talking all things AI. And today's topic is ChatGPT, the search engine replacement. We were recently on social media, and we actually saw Gary Vaynerchuk talking about the stuff we talk about, and we thought this is a great way to have a conversation around what is happening with search engines, what the next generation is using, what the tech folks are using, what people in AI are using, and why you probably want to understand what it is like to use a search engine and how ChatGPT could be the replacement. So, what I figured I would do is let Mina talk about what a search engine is because this morning, before we went live, I was like, well, what would happen if the search engines went away? And Mina quickly said, well, why do you think search engine has all the information? And I was like, oh, they don't.
Yeah.
So
So
Mina,
yeah, it's literally I'm looking at a search engine. So defining a search engine, what's the first thing you think of when you think of a search engine? I'm like, I go to Google.
Google.
Like we say, we go to Google, and some people go to other search engines like Yahoo. And when I hear that, I'm kind of like taken back. Like it's a place that allows you to search for stuff. If you want to travel, if you want to get information about a recipe, because you people take their laptops into the kitchen or their phone, and they're like, I need a recipe based on I want to make an apple pie because you have all the ingredients to make the apple pie, or you are in the grocery store and you're like, I need to make this apple pie. What do I need to buy? And it'll give you a list. So a search engine is a place that you type something in, you ask it to do something for you, and it'll give you a list of things. And then you have to click on that link to decide if it's useful or not. And where does it grab all this information from? Well, so if you that's it. Sometimes I don't even know, but there are servers someplace that has all this information that allows us to grab it. So that's kind of like an easy way to think about a search engine. And when you think about a search engine, what do you think? What do you use a search engine for in a typical day? And how I should ask this question. No, let me take a step back. Do you not use a search engine in a day, or do you always use the search engine? Like, are you always in Google?
I would probably say I am always in Google because the truth is even when someone says I need information, I would Google it, even though you could use Microsoft's tool, Bing, and like you said, you could use Yahoo. I'm in a search. I'm on Google because that is how in my head I access MailChimp. That's how I access as a real estate agent the multiple listing service. That's how I access my own website. But so in in thinking this through, I would open up Google and then go to a website. But what if, like, you got me really thinking, yeah, I'm in Google every day. I'm also in ChatGPT every day because you and I made a decision to use it every day just to see what it would look like, or we want to know what's changing in the world of AI. So whether it's ChatGPT, Google Gemini, or Perplexity, Copilot, we're in it every day. But out of habit, for years, from as far back as I can remember when we got access, because before it was like Yahoo.com, right? I'm in Google every day, Mina.
And the thing is that people use the word internet and search engines interchangeably. Go on the internet and figure it out. But that's not the same thing because I can go directly to a website. Like you can, like, I think last week we used like MRED, and I could have gone to that website. That's not necessarily a search engine, but people use it the same way. And I just looked up. So what I wanted to do was I just Googled where is all the information for the internet. And there are internet servers, but I mean, they're located around the world. So like I'm on Google though. I Googled this: United States, Germany, United Kingdom, and France, for example. Like there are other places, but where it is, we just think it's just available. We're so used to this information being available to us that it's easy to find, and I'm defining easy as just go Google it. But it's somewhere, it's being housed somewhere. And I think, we're trying to think about where are we going to be in 5 to 10 years with search engines? Like, how are we going to find stuff? Because when I use a search engine, when I was getting my master's degree, even my undergrad, my doctorate, I used Google all the time. And it changed from the 1990s to the 2000s to now on how I was looking for stuff. Because now you can Google stuff and you can get like nice articles, they're organized. Some companies still want to charge you, like the Washington Post, but I can get most of the stuff for free. But I have to go and click on every single one. And I did that when I was like had to write a paper, or I wanted some information as a principal or a teacher. I'm like, I needed some more information. So I just Googled it and it was accessible. But if I was teaching in the 1980s, I would not have had access to that. So it's like an information library. And for those of you that remember this, remember going into a library and you had that card index thing? Google search is
Yeah,
like,
we in at Iowa State, I had to take a course to graduate from Iowa State. Even though I didn't graduate from Iowa State, that was a record. And by the way, I heard it still require Mina. So yeah, that's
on
how we would search microfiche. We would walk into a library,
Well, what
and
the heck
now,
is a microfiche?
like it's like the you would go in and get it would be like, let me, like, remember those clear sheets of paper,
Right.
and your teacher would write on it, and they have an overhead. Like, yeah, don't need. I probably
Well,
can't
okay.
explain that well.
Since you said that, the reason why I said that is because you would go to this thing that wasn't a computer, but almost mimics a computer, and you'd have to go to the system and you'd press a button to find old articles, and it sounded like you say my computer's loud. Like it sounded like you would go, and it was so tedious. But we were excited to have it because I didn't have to go. When I say card catalog, Google is like a card catalog, but faster. Like I don't have to like scroll through, this card thing to find an article. It's kind of like, I'm going to equate this to Ross. You know how when you go to the store and you have to go through each item to see what you want? That's what it was like going through this thing. And that's what search engines do. And I figured what we could do is, and I don't know if you wanted to share your screen, is to do a search on Google on something and then do the same search on um, ChatGPT. Because the question is ChatGPT going to replace search engines? And I would argue that, what is it, Gen Alpha? They don't even they don't go to the Google or go ask Google. It's go ask ChatGPT now. Go ask GPT. Go ask Chat. I've heard it with young children that
Go
are as
ask
young.
Chat. They didn't even
Go,
say Chat GPT. They said go ask
go ask
Chat.
Chat.
Okay.
Mhm.
So when some so well, so let's get into the conversation around, could it replace the search engines as we know it? My question before we do that is, where does ChatGPT get its information, or the GPTs out there, the Perplexities, the Gemini, Copilot? Where does it get its information?
Um, it gets it from the same place, and servers, and what I mean by the same place, not like literally the same place, but there are servers that in 2022 there were these. Just imagine a bunch of big old boxes that have all these blinking lights, and they're just available somewhere. And
Giant computers.
ChatGPT,
I call them
like
giant tower
giant,
computers from 1995, but the size of my office, the 10 by
right.
10, the 12 by 12.
It's and the data is in all this information, and it's being organized, and there are people that train ChatGPT to put out input, and they do coding so that it can spit it out so we can understand it. And that's even me saying that out loud, it's like, ooh. So like, and I just asked ChatGPT, and I know I'm not sharing it, but I was like, where do you get your information? It says books and articles, websites and databases, and training data. Like
So
those
it didn't
three
say the
main.
search engine. So it really
Um,
is like
and
a search engine on steroids.
it's a search engine on steroids. Yeah. And and the idea is will you replace, like me asking ChatGPT, will you replace search engines? And it's let's just, and I know I'm not sharing it, but maybe I should.
People can go test it out. Go ask the question. Keep going.
Um, I'm going to say it will. ChatGPT says no. And I'm now asking ChatGPT, could you replace search engines? And I think everybody should ask it the question, because when I ask it, it tells me one thing based on how I use ChatGPT, because it's trained. It uses all my information and kind of spits out and talks like me now, which is interesting.
I'm going to ask it. Good morning, ChatGPT.
And here it is. It says in what I could replace: direct answers, complex interpretations, and personalized responses. Absolutely. And it says what I can't well, it says what I can't replace, and then in parentheses it says or not yet. Real-time information, broad search capabilities, search niche information, user agency. Challenges to fulfill replacement. Need human verification, because those are the trainers, generative pre-trained transformers. Specialized search engines, watch out, because I believe that ChatGPT is going to be a search engine. And legal and ethical boundaries. Well, we have legal and ethical boundaries in Google searches too. And
So
that is
I can
already
tell you
there.
what mine said.
Okay.
It said, my question was, well, I said good morning, and it said, good morning, Carrie. How can I assist you today? Do you think GPTs will one day replace Google, Bing, and Yahoo? The answer. While GPT models like me are becoming more powerful in terms of understanding language and providing detailed answers, I don't think GPT will fully replace search engines like Google, Bing, or Yahoo anytime soon. Here's why. Now, I gave me 3 bullet points, but I'll just give you the title. Different strengths, real-time information, like you said, and verification of sources and specialization. In the future, though, it says the two could complement each other more, with GPT models handling conversational searches and personalized recommendations, while search engines continue to provide live data and specialized tools. What are your thoughts on this? I'm gonna chat, so you keep going, but I
Okay.
want to
Okay. I'm good.
ask.
Keep asking your questions to ChatGPT, because what I wanted to say is potential future role. And I said it before I got there. It says I could integrate into search engines. Uh, And I'm going to argue that the second one, the hybrid, or may emerge into a full integration, like a side by side synthesized. I'm going to call it a symbiotic relationship. Um, and oh my gosh, I wish I remembered that Spider-Man. I'm like, anyway, the symbiote. Anyway, it's basically both of them working together, and that becomes the search engine. Like, to
So
me,
it said
even
for me, go
go
ahead.
keep going.
It just says, what are your thoughts on this? So ChatGPT is having a conversation because remember our goal was is to use ChatGPT like it's a human. So I said, interesting. My thoughts is like I believe it will gain access to live data. And then I say, what if well, no, I says my thoughts are what if you gain access to live data? What might that look like? So I clicked enter, and of course it's answering as if it's like so fast. Like most people would pause and think. ChatGPT doesn't pause and think. It just says if GPT models like me, it gave it a me, gained access to live data, it could transform the way people search for and interact with information. Here's a glimpse of what that might look like. Real-time responses, blah, blah, blah. Number two, conversational search with source links, personalized. Number three, contextual assistance, personalized contextual assistance. So like for real, like having a coach, and it can adapt decision making. Number four, advanced multimodal capabilities, multimodal capabilities like integration with visual data, voice, and video integration. Ooh, man, it's got so much. Five, deeper collaboration with other tools like seamless ecosystems, interface with IoT devices. Oh, wow. Number six was search reimagined as dialogue. Seven, ethical and accuracy considerations. And then potential challenges could be data privacy and then bias and data quality because the data is only as good as the people that get it. In essence, GPT model with access to live data will create a much more interactive, personalized, and intelligence experience. It could combine the best of both worlds, the conversational nature of AI and the precision of live, up to date information. Would this be something you would find useful in your real estate business? Let me see, is Mina still here? Did she refresh? Because I don't hear you anymore, Mina. So go ahead. You can talk. Were you on
Yeah.
mute?
Yeah. No, no. I was actually looking at something else, and what I've looked at is I put in here, could you be symbiotic? That means like work together, and it says yes. And what it's saying is AI systems like me and search engines can certainly work in a symbiotic relationship, complementing each other's strengths. Here's how we can coexist and enhance each other's functionality. I I do believe that search engines are going to reach their obsolescence, obsolete, not be here anymore, go away, or kind of be in a relationship with the GPTs. Any it could, whether it's Gemini, because Gemini is Bing, and well, let me take a step back. And Copilot is Microsoft, and all of them work to and they can all work together along with ChatGPT. So you have Copilot and Microsoft, you have Gemini and Google, and now we have the GPT, which is a partner with Microsoft as well. I believe that we're going to see, but I think it'll stay in this version. Like when you type into the Chat GPT platform, I think it's going to look like this, but it'll be a little bit more appealing, colorful. Because when you go to the internet, you can select images if you put the title in. So that isn't something you see in GPT. So I'm wondering when that will happen. And you and I have been talking about the things that happen, the future. And most of us think as the future as tomorrow or something you want to do maybe 5 or 10 years from now. But the future is every moment that is moving forward. But we tend to take a big leap when that moment in time is a memory for the future. Like, I'm going to go on vacation next year. That's the future. I'm going to finish my college degree in 4 years. That's the future. In 10 years, people, I could possibly retire from the industry. But what is this going to look like in 10 years? And what are we going to see? Because we typically only see the future from our own perspective, and we have defined the future based on what we think it is. And there are people out there that are defining the future, not just based on what they think it is, based on other people's opinions, based on having conversations. And GPT just defined the future, whether it exists or not, and just told me that, yes, it can work together. And I truly believe that. Remember when you and I used to talk about the kids are not just digitally literate, like, well, you and I are digitally literate, like it's like I'm literate in English, I'm literate in technology. They're natives. They were, people who were born in a certain country are natives of a country. The people who started in the country before anybody migrated or colonized in a country, they are natives. People born today are going to be GPT natives.
Because
And
it's not going away. And I don't think, and the thing is that people need to pause and take a second and think about, am I accessing it? How can I use it daily? And I would challenge everyone that if you're watching us live or you're watching the replay, log into your AI tool. For me, it's ChatGPT, and log into Google. It could be Bing, it could be Yahoo, Firefox, whatever you're using, log into both. And when you ask the question to Google, what are the top ways to stage a home as in the real estate space? Then go back to ChatGPT and ask. See what how you can use it differently. But in the difference with, I would say, with ChatGPT or the AI tools or chat would be is you can ask it to have a live conversation with you to brainstorm. When it goes to Google, you just go ask. You can go find the resources on Google, and then you can throw it into ChatGPT and say, here are some resources about staging. How can I use these concepts and ideas to make them fun for social media marketing? Like you could already use them in collaboration, but we truly think that tools like ChatGPT, maybe it's not the replacement, but maybe it's the collaborator. I wanted to title this talk ChatGPT, the search engine killer, and Mina was like, "Nah, I don't think that's going to work because of everything that's happening in the world. That's why you have two brains."
Well, I just asked ChatGPT a question, and it's still spitting out a whole bunch of information. Uh, I just want to pause it for a second. But what I asked it to do is, here's the question. I have to go find it because it was just talking. I said, how will this affect the students born today? And then I gave it a little bit of context, because whenever you ask ChatGPT something, you could ask it a question, but if you give it context, you are enhancing the prompt. So I said, they will be GPT natives, not just GPT literate. They won't know a world without GPT, just like the kids born in 1995 were search engine natives, because we were learning it as it came about. Like most of us that were born in the early 1970s, we were what was the thing? Because VHS wasn't out, but we were natives of
The
eight
cassette
track
tape, those 8 track.
eight tracks and records. It we became literate as the stuff came about. But today, these kids, Gen Alpha and Gen Alpha, they're they are telling their parents, even the information in the YouTubes we've seen or the small clips, they're teaching their parents. Now, I will say that my own kids, they're using at least two of them are using GPT. There's an article that I know I sent it to you and we talked a little bit about it. California, one university in California is now getting ChatGPT as what they call an enterprise. So if you work for a big company or a company and they buy ChatGPT as a company, that means they get their own place where their data is. So it's not going to be public. So that means that, like, let's say that you decided you wanted to have enterprise for your company, and all of the information you put in it is secure for your stuff. So now we have an enterprise, and unless things have changed,
Hmm.
and you can go, don't quote me, but I would go to OpenAI and look up enterprise, because enterprise means that it's yours. You get the information, you use it for what you need to use it for your organization. And the UCLA, it's UCLA that is doing it. They're providing it for their teachers and their students, because OpenAI right now, this is open. So if I actually put something in here, it's learning, and then it could provide other information out there for other people. Now, I've said to ChatGPT, I'm asking you a question, and I want to know, if I ask this question, can you not share it with any other search engines? Can you not save it? And it said, yes, I will delete it from my memory. I don't know if that's true, but it did say it. But I give it pause because I was just curious if it would. Um, but that's at least out there, something to think about.
So let's do this. I'm going to ask ChatGPT, how can I, as a real estate agent or broker owner, have conversations with my agents around how this might change the real estate industry? You go ask it about education. But before we share it, what ChatGPT says, let's give. Well, actually, we'll see. Let's share what we think first. And I'm gonna type this in and then go away from the screen, and then I'll share what I think. You share what you think what the future might look like. You know, as what let me go back to my original title, ChatGPT, the search engine replacement. Let's talk about what we think. Then we're going to find out what ChatGPT thinks for both of our industries. So I'm going to ask the question, how can I leverage or educate the agents in my office on the concept of GPTs as a possible search engine so they are prepared for what might change the way we search for information. Boom. So I'm sending it. I'm going to go away from it. And then while you're typing that in, what I'll do is I'm going to give my thoughts.
Can
So
you
as a real
grab
estate,
can you grab that exact one and put it in our chat so that I can grab it and throw it in so it's almost identical?
okay, so I'm going to throw it in the chat. So you just got to, of course, change it. But there you go. So here are my thoughts. When it comes to real estate, we use real estate. We as real estate agents, of course, we're in the multiple listing service. We have all of these tools that are given to us by our brokerages. We have all of these tools that are given to us by our local association, the state association, the national association, and our multiple listing services. We have all of these different tools. I think the way collaborating with search engines and other tools as a broker owner can actually help me bring everything together so I work smarter as a broker owner. I think as a real estate agent, I think it will help me work faster and smarter, not just Googling it, but if and when, because I think it's just a matter of time when it's may possibly working side by side. I think the real estate agent that has been leveraging ChatGPT or Google Gemini or the GPTs out there will be a better agent. Now, I still believe that real estate agents need to show up to learn, but I also believe that if we leverage this in a way where we're interacting, having live conversations with AI every day, it can make us think. Because I'm telling you, I think if I had tools like this back in the day, I would have been a better student. Like, school was hard for me because I had to memorize it. And then when I realized that someone had given me well, put this in a sentence, like spell the word chat, I would have been a better learner. But I think that goes back to education and how we're being taught. So I think any agent or broker owner or brokerage that leverages this today and they start using it and putting it in their daily routine, when there is this major update that we think is going to happen, they'll be prepared and ready. That's what I think. What do you think is going to happen for your arena without
Um,
looking at GPT?
I think that it it depends on okay, say I'm going to say K-16 education. So 16 meaning the last four is higher education, and I think it depends on how districts are going to leverage it. But if let's just say all school districts and schools and universities today started leveraging it, I believe that it's going to do exactly what you just said. It's going to increase the learning. It's going to allow people, students to gain equitable access. I will even argue equal access because you're going to make it an even playing field. And depending on your background, you can ask ChatGPT stuff that teachers may not have the answers to. Teachers, I think there years ago, teachers were tasked with the bearers of all knowledge. They stood there, and you remember it if you were in college or whatever grade you were in, and whatever teacher you had that was the stand and deliver teacher, they had all the information and they shared it. Because if you think about, I'm about to date myself, like the house on the prairie, it's not like they had a bunch of books. It's not like they had, technology. The teacher was the one who told you all the information. Well, then we got access to books and resources, and still the teacher was still the bearer of knowledge, but they started to turn into the guide. They guided students to become self learners, and we're still struggling with that in some schools and classrooms around the world because we don't let go of letting students be empowered with their learning. The GPTs are going to empower people to gain access to information that they wouldn't have had access to before. Now, we know Google did that. We know Google people write articles, but you had to read those articles quickly. You had to read all of those articles. But what GPT or chat, or I like calling it GPT, but people will start calling it chat, just like AOL chat. It's going to let you put an article in where you don't have to read the whole thing. Now, you probably should read it all, but it's going to give you the experience of saying, I don't understand what I learned in class today. This is the PDF that my teacher gave me. Here's a screenshot of it. Can you explain this concept? Because not every teacher is equal. The veteran teachers have what we call experience, and they are able to start the beginning of a school year differently than a brand new teacher. Like, they can manage the classroom differently, they can gain access, they can guide students differently. GPT is already there, where a new teacher doesn't have that. So now we have all this access, and now students can become their own. I don't even want to say a self learner. They can become an enhanced learner. They can become like anything that I want to know, I can find out. Now, again, Google will tell you some lies, and so will GPT. It is not human. I believe we need the human experience, but I believe that if teachers are using GPT and principals are using GPT to say, let's have a conversation, and what does that mean? And let's go test this theory. Is this really happening? And what if I did this? What are 10 things that could be an outcome as to whether I should or shouldn't do it? Just
So tell us, what did ChatGPT tell you?
now it gave me a list, and if I had a different prompt, I probably had it slow down and talk to me. But at first, it gave me like 6 things. It said educate teachers and principals. Like, it can create workshops and professional development. It says hold workshops that demonstrate how GPT models can serve as a powerful search engine alternative. Then it says examples and lesson plan integration. And this to me is still surface level because I've pushed GPT farther than this. And then it says critical literacy skills. Like, this still isn't really the power of GPT, because the next thing says empower students, introduction to classrooms, example prompts, project based learning. Again, I might even switch this prompt a little bit because it's giving me very surface level. It says it can inform families. Like, most principals and teachers already know this. Like, I would want to leverage, I'm going to go to this last one, leverage AI specific platforms, incorporate tools like GPT in schools. Again, I almost want to push it a little bit more because I've already pushed it to do this, but it's giving me surface level, like, this is what you can do. And
Well, push
I
it
want
and
to,
I'll go read mine. You
yeah,
push it
you
and I'll
read
go read
yours because
mine.
I'm going to push it a little bit.
So mine says, so the question for those of you that are just joining or you're catching the replay, how can I leverage or educate the agents in my office on the concept of GPTs as a possible search engine so they are prepared for what might change the way we search for information? And so, to educate and prepare the agents in your office on the concepts of GPTs as a potential future search engine, you can break down the topic into simple, relatable concepts. Blah, 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 blah. Impact their workflow, client interactions. That's interesting. And marketing strategies. Here's a plan to help them grasp. And it gives me a plan like introductory to ChatGPT. These are things I think people are already at. Real estate specific use cases like lead generation, client interaction, market data access. I think it's giving me surface level, Mina, based on what I have already talked to ChatGPT about. And then maybe number 3, how search engines might change, a shift in conversational search. Now, this one is good. impact on search engine optimization and content marketing, and training on new tools. Like it's giving me like a coursework, and then it says hands on. Okay. Continuous learning and adapting, incorporating GPT into your strategy, addressing concerns. And then, I mean, it literally gave me, because I'm an instructor, Mina, it gave me a sample agenda for a training session. So throw in the chat what you asked ChatGPT to actually dig a little bit deeper, and then I'll have you respond with what ChatGPT told you, and then what I'll do is I'll come back and put in the beyond the surface level.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I asked it, um, and I'm
So
going
in
to
the
give it to
chat,
you, and you can change it a little bit. But I asked it, I need the power of GPT, like the search engine replacement, not a list of GPT. I mean, really, what this will look like in 10 years, even if search engines were obsolete. And so this to me is so much better because it says, I'm going to read the first paragraph. And I want to put it in front of me so that it's a little bit easier to kind of get the scope of it. It says, envisioning a future where GPT like models have replaced search engines and fundamentally altered how we access information, offers a glimpse into how education might adapt. Personalized information. GPT will serve as a personal learning assistant. First of all, teachers have anywhere from 20 to 40 kids in the class. And I say that because when I was teaching in my first district in California, I had one class of 51 students. Don't feel bad for me. They all did fine. Um, that is huge. Like we talk about personalized, differentiated instruction because every student is at a different place. GPT can do that. Like it will allow you to help students where they are because schools were developed to organize them so that they could work in organized systems like factories. We are past that. We don't work like that anymore. We don't need kids or people or adults to work in factories. We got robotic arms that can do it faster for us. Then it says, offering personalized responses and curated information for every individual based on their learning style, preferences, and history. Instead of one size fits all search results page, GPT could deliver information in a way that adapts to the user. Now, I'm going to let you speak because Amazon's about to come and my dog's going to bark. So you go.
okay. So, well, I'm gonna say I'm gonna sum it up because it's still mine. Mine is still writing, but and I'll just give you the bullet points of this. And I asked almost the same question, except I might have just tweaked it a little bit. It says conversational, which I mentioned, hyper personal information, seamless integration, which I said. So I'm like, are you listening to me? Natural language interaction, immersive and multi modal experiences, instant problem solving, not just answers, like instant problem solving. I was like, wow. I'm like, this is the concept around what we do every day is could easily changed in an instant. Like we're saying that you kids are calling it, oh, I was in chat. And you said that what university decided to integrate this? UCLA or Cal State? Which one?
UCLA, there's an article that they are offering ChatGPT as an enterprise in for teachers and students, for everybody, everybody in the organization.
So okay, so we want to challenge all of you. We want to challenge all of you to try ChatGPT or Google Gemini or Copilot or Perplexity, or there's another one you mentioned, Mina. Like, we want you to try all of these. We want you to, number one, log into ChatGPT. Number one, just ask random questions so you get used to using it. And I'm just going to say, number three, we need you to subscribe to our YouTube channels. And number four, we need you to follow us on TikTok and Instagram because we are giving you quick tips on how to use ChatGPT every single day. What are your
Wait,
takeaways from
well,
this meeting?
my takeaway is I'm actually going to give you this number 9 that came up. It says the end of search and the birth of knowledge streams and systems. The idea of
You should write
searching
that
for
down.
information will become less about keyword inputs and more about knowledge streams. Real time information flows that continuously update and adapt based on context. GPT won't just respond to queries, because that's what we do when we Google. It will anticipate needs, offer insights, proactively proactively and evolve alongside the user's learning journey, and it is already doing that for me. So it will do that for students, it will do that for teachers, because when teachers are learning in the moment with students, students are better at their learning. Like, there is a professor, Dr. Almorad, he lives on the East Coast. He said in one of our professional learning development conferences that we are expert noticers. When teachers live in that, like in the moment, can see that they need to change, that's the creativity and the adaptation of the mind. That's what GPT does. In the moment, like, what about this? Or what about this? Google isn't doing that for me. Search engines are not doing that for me. I mean, and here's this last part. It says learning as a journey. Students won't need to ask for information. Instead, their learning path will be continuously shaped by GPT, guiding them through new topics, offering insights just as they need them, and adapting based on their questions and curiosity. We when I last week and the week before, we talked about think tanks and thought partners and what can it do for me. Google is not my thought partner. Now, humans, yes, we could, GPT can throw out all the ideas, and as humans we can come in and enhance that and go, wow, I didn't even think about that, what about this? It is thinking and gets rid of all of the noise, because we get noise. You know who you are when you go from one room to another room and you want to clean. GPTs get rid of the noise. It gets rid of the mess that we are dealing with, and it cleans it out of the way. Now, there is a caveat to that. Sometimes the mess is good. Sometimes we need to live in the mess in the human world, because you don't want to always live there. But that is another day. And one when we're offline, Carrie, I want to show you what else it gave me, because it just blew my mind. And that's a whole nother day. So that's what I want to leave people with, because my mind is
So,
blown.
with that being said, we want, again, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channels. I am Carrie Little. I am the broker owner, designated managing broker of Caremark Realty Group in Illinois and in Florida. And this is my twin sister.
I'm Dr. Mina Jo Blazy, or Mina, and I am Mina J. Blazy everywhere. However, I am MJ Blazy on YouTube.